that bet. I'm not sure if I want to bet on Tennessee or not, Jeff. What do you think? Okay. What I'm going to present today is an agreement that we are intending to pass today and to sign today between the Declarant and Fairfield Glade Community Club. This has actually been in the works for quite a while. We started the initial discussions on this really just about a year ago. And we worked hard to try to get this thing put together. And we have a good agreement, I think, now. And I'm going to try to take you through all of the pieces of it. And it's one, I think, that when you see all of this, you'll see why it's important to the community. So, the first thing that we want to do is talk a little bit about what the purpose of the agreement is. And I want to be clear about this because this is not a Fairfield Glade Homes agreement. This is an agreement with the Declarant. Now, it just happens to be the same person, but in this agreement, we're talking about development of Fairfield Glade, not individual homes construction, okay? Although we're going to get to that. And really what it does, it reinforces the covenants and restrictions that the joint responsibility of the club and the Declarant has to develop the infrastructure. And being specific in that, in the covenants and restrictions, the Declarant is the person that says where roads go, utilities go, that type of thing. The club controls sewer. So if you're going to really do real development in Fairfield Glade, you need both of those people on board. So this really is a partnership, and it's really something that's very important because it's the only way that Fairfield Glade gets developed. And if you notice, those of you who've been around a while, there has not been major development here for quite a while. And mainly because we haven't been working in a good partnership. We do one-offs, and we'll do a little bit of extensions now and then, but we've never had a real plan on where this is going to go. This is what this is going to do. So it's going to strengthen our partnership between the Declarant and us. And it's a cooperative type of arrangement where we're going to develop Fairfield Glade. And it's not everything, but you're going to get a pretty good idea of what we're talking about. And we hear a lot, and I know realtors hear a lot, and you probably even have heard some from people. You know, we have not honored the promise. A lot of people came here in the 70s and 80s with the promise that there was going to be development. And all they've gotten is land. They've got dirt. And what we really need to try to do is get a plan together where we can honor that promise. So, let's go through some specifics. The term of the agreement is for 15 years and it can renew for 5 years on top of that. I want to be clear what this agreement is, because if you're not, you got to listen to the words here because it's very important that you understand. This only applies to the C lots that we own. It's not all C lots. Matter of fact, most of the C lots are owned by private individuals. So I want to be real clear. This is only the C lots that we own. And I'm going to give you some numbers so you get an idea. We own right now today, or at least anyway on the most recent thing, right at about 1,900 lots that we own that are included in this agreement. We own a total of 2,548. So there's about roughly around 650 that are not in this agreement, okay? But those of you that have been around a while, these are C lots that we've taken back and we get nothing for them. We don't get any assessments. You do get the privilege of paying taxes on them and that type of thing. So the idea is that we're going to take these lots and turn them into revenue generating assets. So the C lots for what we own, 760 is really the real number. We're granting an option to the Declarant. He has exclusive rights to buy C lots owned by us, as indicated in Appendix A, entitled the Development Phase Maps. I'll say a little bit more about that later. The Declarant has the exclusive right of first refusal for any other of the lots that we own. And the reason why we're granting that is because if we all of a sudden get opportunities where we can do additional development, we want to give the declarant the opportunity to take a look at that as well. The option fee that the declarant will pay to the club is $5,000 per year for the rights for the first right of first refusal and the guarantee to buy. And the option price for every lot that we sell to the declarant will be $1,000. Okay, so why is this a good agreement for Fairfield Lake Country Community Club? It increases the revenue for the assessments due to additional members. And that's a big deal for us because these are non-earning assets right now. All we have is expense on them. We're not getting anything. And this will allow us to start moving that direction. Fairfield Glade owns the non-revenue producing C lots, starts to generate revenue. It's really kind of an extension of the same thing. And it helps with the implementation of the 10-year plan and should give us more flexibility in financing plan. The reason why that's true is all of you remember that we passed earlier this year the amenity reserve fee. Well, as we develop and we put new homes in, that's going to generate more fees. And for C lots, that's a big deal. It will allow us really to do a better job in terms of planning for our wastewater system and the capacity planning for the sewer area. And this is important too because we've jump-started and we looked every year, and Bruce, I know you've helped us every doggone year. What we now can do is probably put out a plan that will have for development for at least 5, 7 years, something like that at a time. We haven't had that capability in the past. And this will give us a much better idea of how we can plan capacity because we'll be looking at things in a longer area, and we can really do a much better job in capacity planning. And of course, then we'll also know exactly where we're going to be putting sewer. And it really does do what we said we were supposed to do, is stimulate the growth of Fairfield Glade. It strengthens the partnership again with us and the declarant, and it addresses the perception that people were promised development that never happened. So why is this good for the declarant? It provides clarity for future infrastructure growth on improved road and on unimproved roads. So we'll actually have a plan of where roads are going to go. And we'll know where that plan is because the declarant is responsible for doing it. It allows the declarant, the Fairfield Glade, to have planned infrastructure development, and that means sewer, that means water, that means roads, that means broadband. All that will be included in that. Electricity, of course. And it creates a pathway for C-lot owners to actually realize value. And they've been sitting on these for sometimes over 50 years and have not seen any value improvement at all. So it's really allowing them to start seeing some value being generated there. And it creates actually more home style options for prospective buyers. Why does it do that? Well, I'm going to get to that in this slide. The agreement does not affect Class A and B lots. That's important. And our small builders, that's where they build. They don't usually go in and buy and build like 10, 20 homes a year. We have a couple that do that. But a lot of our builders do not buy even or build more than 4 or 5 lots, homes. And some only do 1 or 2. So they still are going to be able to build on the A and B lots just as they have for the times past. There will be also opportunities because no one builder is going to be able to do the amount of lots that we're talking here. So it's going to bring in multiple builders. And that's why it's important for everyone to understand this agreement is in Tom's role as the declarant, not Fairfield Glade Homes, okay? So multiple builders will be involved. It won't just be one. And because I'm going to give you some numbers here to give you the scope of this thing. So what I want to go back to is give you some numbers, and I think this will also show you the value that we're talking about. Altogether right now, to take a look at what what we're proposing in the agreement. And we don't control only but 760 of these lots, okay? But included in the Appendix A is about 7,900 lots. And those are broken down to roughly the 1,760 that we own, the 1,200 Wyndham lots. Now, I'm going to take a minute on those two items. Wyndham right now owns 1,295 lots. They vote those every year. When the development takes place, that's going to change. So 92.5% of Wyndham lots are included in the areas that we're putting in Appendix A. So for those of you that say, well, Wyndham is trying to take over and control everything, they're getting out of this business. And this will put them basically out of the business. So at the end of it, right now, assuming that no other their lots sold, and they could sell, they'd be left with 95 lots. That's it. That's a big change from where we are today. For us, for the lots that we have, that we own included in this, is really almost 75% of the lots that we own. And those are the lots that we've taken back, voluntary transfers, sometimes getting them before they go to the county and that type of thing. That's a big number for us. And we've not had a good solid plan. We've tried several things with realtors and that type of thing, but the major part of that is that we don't necessarily, because they see lots, if you go out and see a lot of our lots, our C lots, they have grass roads, sometimes no road, sometimes nothing more than a trail. And this will get this stuff started to be developed, and that's a big thing for us. We have really tried several things, and they work marginally, but we really need to get a development plan in order to get rid of those lots. Now, just so you're aware, the other lots that are included in this, there are 800 county lots. And we're still in discussion about what we can do with those because it's a little different process once the county gets them, but they're included in the development here. And finally, there are 4,000 privately owned lots. Those are just people that have bought them, they've had them. These are the people that have been promised things and never realized the value of it. So that's what we're planning on doing. We're going to make a motion here to approve the agreement, but I wanted to make sure that anybody who has questions about what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it, that we answer it. Come on in.
My name is Ellie Kellerman. I've been here since 2005. My question is, how are we going to get reporting on this? We have no reports from the Declarative now, what they're building, and when they're going to put their next phase in, supposedly. So how are we going to get reports, and how frequency are they going to be? We need to know what's going on.
Well, you're going to know some of it, and you're not going to know some of it. And then this gets at the way we handle sewer. And I want to be clear about this. There are people who are speculator builders, and there's some of them that are not doing all the right things that they should be doing for the community. And what I mean by that is if you release all of the addresses, now we'll have a general map, and most of this, well, actually all of the development is south of Peavine. So we'll have a general map of that. But the phasing of that, we won't necessarily put out publicly, because as soon as we do, speculators will come into those people that own those properties, and those properties will rise in value, but they'll be sold potentially for pennies on the dollar. I'm sorry?
Not future, current, what they do in current.
Well, right now, there is not a development plan. That's what this is going to lead us to.
Develop the plan, you should put it out, publish what's going on.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that we can do some of that. We'll have a general map. We'll show you what that is. There's no problem with that. But the specifics and the rollout of that development, we need to be careful of, because as soon as that gets out, then you can have people starting to, especially the private citizens here, or the private residents or owners, and they'll start going down there and they'll give them bids on property for their property that may be way low from what they could get if they just understand what we're doing.
Greg?
So we'll do the same kind of thing that we do with sewer right now, and that is we will publish or we'll send letters to all the residents that are affected ahead of the time so that they know, and get with somebody who's familiar with the market to go on ahead and talk to them about what the value of their lot may be now.
Greg, I think if I understood right, you're asking what are the current, not part of this, but current building plans. Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking when you initiate a phase,
Okay.
you get a progress report of what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right now, we've got a new development two up there. We don't know anything about it except the name, and it was provided when they put the sewer in.
Yeah. And that will be helpful
Yeah.
because we'll have a good idea.
Well-
And I just wanted to clarify too, even though it's that area south of Peavine, the declarant is not going to buy all those lots at
No,
once.
no, that's-
So
that's-
it's going to be, if I can just use an example, it's going to be like, we want to have the rights to something called the 1, 2, 3 lots. And that might be 20, 25 houses that could be built on that. And so then what would happen is, once we get that from them, then the first thing we will do is notify the homeowners, correct?
That's right.
That already own lots.
Well, the lot owners,
Lot
property owners.
sorry. Then we'll notify the lot owners, because we don't want them to sell and find out a week later that they're getting sewer and roads and everything else. So we want them to have a chance to know that their property might appreciate. So then we would let them know, and then we would post the plan as best as we know it from the builder. Now, some of the real small builders, we don't get anything from them
No.
about them going. But we feel like, because they need sewer, they need water, and they need roads, and if the declarant is helping us close the loop on those, then we may have a better picture of what's going on. Ellen, did you have anything else?
And that's what Monica said is very important. Even though we're talking about 7,900 lots, not all those are going to be buildable lots. You guys have all driven around our property enough to know that not every lot is buildable. So that'll be something that we'll be looking at. But what will happen as a natural piece of this is that once that phasing's done and we let our current property owners know, then they will be approached, but they'll know that they're going to be approached for people to try to buy their lots, and they may or may not sell. They may be ready to build on those lots themselves. So that'll be part of the process. Okay?
Nico Sergio. What I'm interested in finding out if the community club or members would have any input. What I'm thinking what might be a valuable asset to the community is if Anderson and his group were to buy up a group of lots there that are all connected to each other, and that they could put up condominium units or something like that, instead of putting in a lot of individual houses. That's one thing I've noticed when we've gone to some retirement communities. There are a lot more condos or townhouses, whatever, or that type of units here. And I just wanted to know if, during these discussions, if we could bring that up and see if that's practical for Tom Anderson and his group. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm positive that we'll have those conversations, but I also want to be clear. That's the declarant's role. That's what they do. Because if they can't sell things, this whole plan just falls flat on its face. So we've got to make sure that, yeah, we have inputs, but those decisions about what's actually going to go on those lots will be the declarant's. They won't be ours.
I would just add, I'm 99% sure that you're not allowed to put condos on any of those lots per the way that the historic.
Oh, yeah, the way they're plotted.
I'm pretty sure only the commercial parcels you can put
Right.
condominiums on, because we have looked at that. I'm not sure about that, but I think per the community, you're only allowed to build certain types of homes on those lots.
Sure.
It's governed by the declaration, so that, I'm not gonna say you could never change it, but that's a really big hit. Change like
if you recall, Nico, we looked at a little of this when we got talking about these small houses thing. And the only way the community could do that is go in and actually change what they call, I think it's called Appendix A and B. And those are specifically platted lots. So they're not ones that are already combined or laid out or anything other than really what would be private homes. That's an expensive proposition and a long proposition. So you got to take a look at where we are, and you know, I never say never, but it would be a difficult thing. Tom?
So on the surface, this is great. I really applaud it. The county tie-in, I'm a little bit vague. Does Mayor Foster support this? And you know, I'm surprised he wouldn't welcome this with open arms and be with you saying, let's do the agreement together, put the county in there. So, you know, a little background on that. Maybe if he's not that excited about it, we can help him along as the members. So that's number one. And number two, minor points department, but just I'm curious, who's paying for title and survey on these lots?
Okay, a couple things here. One, Mayor Foster is aware. I've talked to him about it. He is supportive. The county has a whole different process, Tom, and that's going to be worked out. The declarant can go and buy some of those lots from the county. We have an agreement already with the county about how we can get lots. We got to work that out between us in terms of what's the best way to go about doing it. But Mayor Foster is aware. He is supportive. He's in the same position we are in, really. He doesn't want to get all these lots, because once they go into him, he's got to sell them. He gets, you know, it's more trouble and tribulation for him. And then you get into, with the county, it's difficult to get a clear title, and it takes a lot of time to get that. So he's not wanting to get lots. He wants to get out of the real estate business as well. But it's going to take some conversation and see what we can do and the best way to do it. Okay? And your second question was what? Typically, the way that works is for those lots that we have, and now I can only speak for those, okay? When we sell that lot, we do it just like any other close. They pay. Okay? And assessments start as soon as the property transfers. Okay? Any other questions? Go ahead. Okay? All right. This is big news, by the way, and I think it's really going to be something that's really going to improve the community, and it will really, I think, help a lot of people in terms of what the promise has been many, many years ago and what they're actually going to be able to get now. So, thank you.